We are live with another episode of the Brown Water Banter podcast. My name is Jared Seymour.
My name is Joey Cates.
That's right. We got a great show for you today. Mr. Ralph's in the studio from Mississippi Gulf Fishing Banks. We're going to be talking about artificial reefs, the Gulf of Mexico, snapper, where we're at with our artificial reefs, and how that whole process, man. It's going to be a great show. But before we jump into it, like we always do, we're going to thank the sponsors for the show here. I keep saying it. I got probably about 6 more months of saying it, but 2023 is the year to keep your mouth clean, man. Dr. Robbie Williams over at Southern Magnolia Smiles, man. They're located on Washington Avenue in Ocean Springs. They are on the socials at Southern Magnolia Smiles on Facebook and Instagram. Go check them out. If you need a great local dentist, like I said, get your teeth clean, man. It's very important. Make that appointment. Just give them a call at 228-215-1202 and tell them that you heard about them from us. Next up, Jesse Hill and his team over at Hilltree Marketing, man. If you need a website built for any reason, they can take you from no concept to a full-blown, award-winning website. Jump over to hilltreemarketing.com. Check out some of the brands that they've worked with, or go to brownwaterbanter.com and look at our website because he built it for us. He's got everything in-house, and he's local. He can handle the IT side of everything, the photography, the videography, the whole nine, man. Just hit him up, hilltreemarketing.com, and he will take care of you. Taylor and Cox Law Firm, man. Tyler, our good buddy, over in Pascagoula. If you find yourself needing legal representation for any reason, maybe you accidentally kept a couple snapper that you didn't know you're supposed to keep.
Yeah, let's
maybe,
not do that.
Maybe you thought it was
maybe you thought it was 13 inches.
Calvin has represented these cases before.
Yeah, so he told us about it one day. Yeah.
They have. I can't believe we haven't brought that up before. But maybe you didn't realize the limit. Maybe you didn't know the slot on the redfish, or that you were in federal waters. Maybe, I don't know how.
They don't have the brown water.
Don't ask me how I know that. So if you find yourself in that boat, no pun intended, and you need some representation, they do specialize in criminal law, family law, and civil litigation defense. Give them a shout at 228-696-0111 and tell them again that you heard about them on the Brown Water Banter podcast.
And you need some help.
Show them the pictures of the fish. Tell them you could have swore it was bigger. See the Swamp, man. That's our buddy Rocky. Gaucher Van Cleve exit, head south. He's got a location there on the left. He's also got one in Gulfport on Pass Road. He's got all your outdoor needs covered, man. Tackle, rods, reels, fishing apparel, brown water hats. He does reel repair. I mean, he's a one-stop shop, man. He's local. And he's a good dude. Sponsors a lot of stuff around here, softball, baseball, stuff like that. So keep your dollars in the community if you can. Go check him out. He's on Facebook. See the number 2 and then Swamp, and tell him that you heard about him on the show.
That's right.
New for this month, man. We're super pumped. Kendrick over at let me see here. Forever Young Men and Women's Health Clinic. I'll go back to that. Kendrick was on the show a couple episodes ago. It was a great podcast. If you haven't heard it, go back and look it up. We talked about testosterone replacement, hormone replacement therapy for men and for women. And Kendrick's got a great practice here locally. It's over in Gulfport. If you feel like maybe you're being a little bit more tired than normal,
a little sluggish,
you're looking for an energy boost, go check him out. Forever Young Men and Women's Health Clinic on Facebook. Like I said, he does men's hormone replacement and women's. We talked about it on the show. So whether you're a man or a lady, go check them out. Tell them that we send them there, and see if you can't get your hormones in check, man. I think you might be surprised.
Yep.
At least go get it looked at. See what it's all about.
Yep.
So we want to thank all the sponsors for being a part of the show, man. It means a lot to us. So let's get into it. I think this was going to be popular with our crowd, especially. Ralph, first, thank you for being here this evening, man. We really appreciate you stopping by. This has been one that we've been looking forward to for a while. Joey's still blasting it out on the internet.
And we're going everywhere.
Yeah, he's going to every single one of the fishing groups. Can't get in trouble for this one because this is definitely really that. We have a lot of people on the show, and that we talk about outdoor stuff, obviously. And when we get into the snapper conversation or offshore fishing, it's one of the first things that comes up is, why is Mississippi so behind when it comes to artificial reefs? And you have a nonprofit that you're, what's your title there?
So I'm the president of the Mississippi Gulf Fishing Banks. It is a nonprofit, been in existence since 1969. But as far as building reefs, our biggest impediment to building reefs is money. We just don't have enough money.
Okay, that's what it is, money?
Well, for the Gulf Fishing Banks, the state of Mississippi has a bunch of money, and they have been recently using it to build reefs. There's been a lot of reefs built just the last couple of years from Go Mesa funds that had to do with the oil spill money.
Okay.
So we are attempting to build more reefs. The fish havens out there have a lot of reefs already within them, currently the DMR is trying to expand the fish havens. They're trying to incorporate some more area to the south and to the west of Fish Haven 13, just south of Pascagoula.
Correct.
And they are receiving a bunch of pushback, primarily from the Shrimper Alliance.
Correct.
Did I even start this out correctly, though? Are we behind, would you say? Are we behind, or does people just not realize how many we have?
I would say that we're way behind Alabama.
Okay. Yes, Alabama's killing it.
There's a couple things there. Alabama has a huge area that they can build reefs in. And the state of Alabama is dumping tons of money into it. It's a huge economic driver for South Alabama. Orange Beach, the unit of participation of snapper anglers in Alabama far outweighs what we do here in Mississippi. It's unbelievable the amount of people that fish over there.
Wow.
And because of that, the state recognizes that they need to invest in those anglers. And by doing that, they're building artificial reefs.
Yeah. Biggest pushback is always the shrimping lanes. Those have
Yes.
been there for years and years and years
Yes.
and years. Does Alabama not deal with that? Or that's different?
So there's a different bottom. When you get east of Mobile Bay, there's a hard sand bottom out there, and it runs all the way around the Big Bend of Florida. It's a hard sand bottom.
Correct.
Yes.
When you get west of Mobile Bay, it's mud,
Mhm.
Which is what we have.
which is what we have.
hence the name of the show.
We have we have shrimp.
Right.
Alabama doesn't have shrimp. That's why when you go out here out of Pascagoula and you see shrimp boats, where are they out of? By the Battery.
Right. They're all running this way.
They're all running this way because this is where the
So
shrimp,
the
shrimp
sand
grounds are.
Sand brings you the pretty tourist
Beaches,
water.
yes.
Just doesn't bring you the shrimp.
Exactly.
I don't think I really knew that particular part of it. And my experience over in Orange Beach offshore fishing is zero, really. So that's good to hear. And that to me makes me feel good about, our little slice of the pie here in South Mississippi. Again, like I say, the name of the show, Brown Water Banter, but the shrimping boats and going shrimping and having that as a part of our, our economy here on the Gulf Coast, like I appreciate that. So if that is a barrier that we have to contend with for the reefs, you're saying that's just one part of it though, right? It's not the only part.
And right now it's out for public comment on the Marine Fisheries website. The effort by the Department of Marine Resources to expand that reef system. So, and it's going to close here in the next few weeks. It's important that whoever's listening to get on that National Marine Fisheries website and make your comments on there. The Shrimping Alliance is pretty strong, but I tell you, when you look at a map of the historical shrimping areas of south of Mississippi, and it runs out 200 miles, the whole map is nothing but black with all the areas that they have historically traditionally shrimp.
Correct.
But when you put in those two little minuscule areas that we want to put an artificial reef in, it's like the head of a pencil.
Right.
That's what we want to take away from them.
Right.
So I understand that we have to share the resource out there. We can't just obliterate the shrimping lanes, but there's a whole lot of area out there to shrimp.
And that's what I think too. And we're not giving a bad rap to shrimpers because we love shrimpers. We know that.
Sure.
Fuel's high. Shrimps
they don't
low,
make a lot of money.
Not making a whole lot of money.
Right.
But there's got to be some give and take to where we can move together.
What's their pushback when you make that comment? I'm assuming, do you have direct conversations with their alliance?
The Gulf Fishing Bank doesn't. This is a push by the Marine Department of Marine Resources. They are the ones that are trying to expand. Well, they want to expand the artificial reef zone, right? So they're the ones that will talk to the shrimpers. They're the ones
so they're like the middleman, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Like y'all don't speak directly to them; they don't speak directly to y'all, which is.
So we have already established areas for us to build our reefs in, right? The fish havens.
Yes.
1 through 14.
Correct.
Those are already ours. They've been through all the processes dozens and dozens of years ago. So those are ours, and we can pretty much build what we want in there within reason. We have to get permission from Marine Fisheries and from the Corps of Engineers as to what specifically can go out there. And I tell you right now, since we're on the subject, I've been trying to renew permits down there, and it's been taking forever. Used to be, when I'd renew a permit, a 2-paragraph letter, and within 3 or 4 weeks I had the new permit and I could start building reefs again. This time it was a 5-year process.
Good God.
We couldn't build reefs for almost 5 years in the snapper areas because they wouldn't give them to us. Right now, in Fish Haven 13, I have low relief permits, means I can put stuff in there that doesn't exceed 7 feet in height off the bottom.
Okay.
But that is really restrictive. You can put culverts out there, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got 2 pogie boats that the Gulf Fishing Banks just took possession of from Omega Protein and Moss Point here 2 weeks ago. They're
Thank
cleaning
God.
they're cleaning them now. Well,
They might-
if we don't get the permits in FH13, they're going to have to go in FH2, which no one really wants them to go there. I've been trying to get that permit. First of all, it took me 5 years to get the low relief permit.
Mhm.
Now it's January of last year and a half. I've been trying to get that low relief permit turned over to a high relief. Year and a half.
Now why? Is this COVID? Are you still blaming that? Is this slow down on purpose?
Amazingly enough, they do use those types of excuses. We're
Yeah.
shorthanded. We
Right.
can't get to it. The Fish Haven 13 permit I'm trying to get approved from low to high is 5 miles away from Fish Haven 2 and 1 that they just gave me those permits for high relief last January.
Mhm.
As soon as I got those permits last January, I immediately said, I want to modify 13. Year and a half later, I'm still waiting.
That's why I hate any discussion when we support conservation on the show. We've had someone that was with NOAA. We're going to continue to try to get the DMR on here because I think there's got to be a balance, right? You just said it earlier, Joey. You got to have some type of balance where everybody can somewhat get what they're looking for. But when you deal with stuff like that, I just don't understand it. I don't get, that makes people resent the process.
Yeah.
Government red tape's what it all
Correct.
boils down.
Exactly.
And not state government, it's federal government.
Yeah. Big surprise.
And then I guess the 13 that you're doing, is that the 9 mile or that's past the 9 mile?
So since the Gulf Council turned over managing resources to the 5 Gulf states for reef fish, snapper and group and all that,
right?
We don't even look at that 9 mile mark anymore.
Okay.
The only time we look at the 9 mile mark is for charter fishermen.
Correct.
State charter captains can't go outside the 9 mile mark, right? Because they're not federally permitted.
Yeah, they got 2 and then a little bit of 1.
And a little bit of 13.
Yeah, a little bit of 13.
Yep. That 9 mile mark, that's where it is. So, but that's about the only thing we really look at when it comes to snapper regulations is for the charter captain, state charter captains.
Yeah.
Okay. The fish havens that already exist and the structure that's already out there, do you have to re-permit that in any way, shape, or form for the stuff that's already there?
No.
Okay.
What the existing stuff is fine.
Okay.
It's the new stuff going down, and they have to be re-permitted every 5 years.
Okay. And so that's my question. So the amount of square acreage or however y'all, define these areas, are they filled already to their max capacity
No.
structure?
Not even
No.
close.
Okay.
They're not filled. They're not filled to capacity. No.
Okay.
And I work pretty closely with the Bureau Director of Artificial Reefs at the DMR, and so we stay in touch. In fact, when we have something that a project that we have worked on to get out there and deploy, we don't just go out there and deploy it. We check with the DMR, say, where do you think this should go? Because they have the scientists.
Okay.
We just have a bunch of local fishermen, volunteers. They have the science on board, so we defer to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how much rehoming or remodeling of these reefs usually occurs? Because I know, like FH2, you'll go over some of them that are marked on the website, and there's nothing there on the structure wise.
Right.
How much do you have to go back and drop, or does?
That's a good question. So, as we talked about, it's all mud out there. So every time there's a storm blows through, tropical storm, that
covers it
that
up.
stuff, it scours into the mud,
Right.
and it gets covered up. So, what we try to do on occasion, and we've done it recently when we took some of the stuff from Ingalls when they had the dry dock materials. What we'll try to do is on occasion, we'll have a spot that used to be a productive fishing spot, and now it's covered, it's silted over, and we'll dump on top of it.
Right.
There's 2 things for that. There's still fish kind of hanging out there, but when we put that stuff on top of that silted over base, it keeps it from sinking quite as fast because there's some rubble down there to hold it up. So
It's got a foundation.
It's got a foundation, exactly.
Yeah. Well, where I was going with the previous question though is if the fish havens that you already have permits for are not filled up, why not put more stuff in those areas? Even though you still say you'd have to get a permit for new stuff, there should be no pushback from the the Shrimper Alliance.
Oh no,
on that right?
There is no pushback because those are
already there.
Those are constructed fish havens. Those are reef sites.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question,
it's just getting the stuff to get it out there, put it on a barge.
But am I seeing this right? There's two methods here. We can either go for new territory or we can saturate,
spruce up the
old territory, which would seem to be the way to go.
We'd really like to do both.
Okay.
Because at some point we're going to reach a saturation point where there's not enough stuff, not enough acreage, or not enough area to go out and build new reefs. We don't want to wait till the last minute. This process is probably going to take anywhere from 5 to 8 years to get it to get that site approved. So we don't want to wait 8 years from now and say, okay, now let's start the 8-year
Gotcha.
process.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
So
We've already got this. Let's go
Right.
try to get something else and then worry about
Right.
the other stuff.
We'll
later.
keep building with what we have,
Right.
but we need to have a backup plan.
so you're doing
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
is
We're
what
doing
saying.
both.
Because
You're doing
if you go to FH2, I hate to say it, or FH1 on open day of snapper season, it's like a parking lot.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
that's where all the state captains can go. I mean, that's their
Right.
livelihood.
both. Right.
They're going to go where the snapper are. And that's the only
Yep.
place they can fish for snapper.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're going to have to expand.
Oh, we have no
somewhere.
choice.
Yeah, you have to.
But I will say this: the area that they're expanding to is going to be in federal waters. Maybe a portion of that area on the west side of FH13 will be in the state waters,
Right.
but the portion that's south of FH13 obviously won't be.
Right.
So it's not so much expanding the state waters. We're just trying to expand
Just anything.
Area-
Anything we can get.
anything we can get. We're
Right.
just trying to expand on that.
Who do you deal with most? You mentioned DMR, Gulf Council, right? Is that
So I try to go to all the Gulf Council meetings when they're held locally. I'm usually always there. I have served on a data collection advisory panel for a while, and my name's been put up a couple times for the Gulf Council, sponsored by CCA. But at the Department of Marine Resources, the number one guy that I deal with is Travis Williams. He is the department head for the Artificial Reef Bureau.
okay?
And so, I deal with him a lot because we have this, we have the same interests. I mean,
Right.
He's attacking it from the state, and we're doing it from the recreational side. So,
How did you get in your position and the fishing banks?
so I've only lived here since 1992, and around 2000, one of the guys I worked with said he asked me about if I was familiar with Mississippi Gulf Fishing Banks, and I wasn't. He said, "Well, that's the group that puts out all the reefs, and they have monthly meetings, and they hand out reports each month with reef locations on them." Well, my eyes got
Yeah, you're like, that's not a bad
Yeah.
deal. Yeah,
that's what I want to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
So I went the very next month, and sure enough, the divers were passing out numbers of the reefs that they went and dove on, and the Gulf Fishing Banks was maintaining a list of all the artificial reefs. And I said, well, this is what I need.
Yeah.
If I want numbers, I need to come to these meetings. And I
absolutely.
started coming every month.
Yeah.
And it was after the hurricane. It was at 05, so
Mhm.
it was around 07. I'd been on the board of directors for a little while, and our president at that time became ill, had to get off, and they elected me president. So it was around 07. So I've been the president ever since.
So you've been reigning pretty long.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, it's one of those jobs where if you show up often enough,
You're going
you
to
got-
find you something to do.
you got the job because we know we can count on you to
Right.
be here every month.
Right.
Right.
That's
Explain the system in between there. You have who works under you. You have your president. You have Secretary of State or Secretary.
So we're
Right.
all volunteers. None of us
Right.
get paid except our secretary because she does
Right.
a lot of work. She keeps the checkbook. She keeps the books.
Mhm.
And everybody else is just in name only. Right.
Right.
We're not being paid. So, but we do have a board of directors, and we have we have to have a quorum to have meetings and make motions and pass them. Let's see.
Usually at the Biloxi Yacht Club.
We meet at the Biloxi Yacht Club second Thursday of every month at 7:00. And everybody is welcome. Our dues are $10 a year.
Wow.
It's super cheap.
And what we try to do in November, we don't have a meeting in December because of Christmas and deer hunting and whatnot. But in November,
Yeah.
what we try to do in our November meeting is have a banquet, and the cost of the banquet is $10,
Mhm.
and that's your dues.
Right.
So for
right.
$10, you get a fish dinner with all the trimmings, and you get to join the Gulf Fishing Banks.
Man, y'all are really asking a lot.
Yeah.
It's
right.
asking a lot, right?
Well,
So we're not trying to make money with the dues. We're just trying to get you to come back.
Right.
Now I will tell you this: before Hurricane Katrina, the Gulf Fishing Banks yearly drawdown was the best drawdown on the coast. You couldn't buy tickets.
Mhm.
I mean, you had to know somebody to get a ticket. That all changed after the hurricane,
yeah.
and now it's hard just to find volunteers to help put the drawdown on.
Really.
Yeah, and in fact, we had one. I don't know. It's probably been 8 or 9 years ago, and 300 tickets. I think we sold 200. And so as people were walking in the door, we were offering them bundles of 5 tickets for $20, just trying to
Right.
get rid of them.
Right.
Yeah. It was
See,
100.
Yeah, that's as fishermen, and that's kind of what we want to do, what you want to do. The bigger your voice, the bigger your yell, right?
Yes.
So the more numbers you have on the fishing banks, the more people we have, even CCA wise and stuff like that, the bigger voice you have as a fisherman.
Right.
And that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to get them
grow the voice.
in your there and in your meetings.
Yeah. And we're looking, we're looking to build a membership, because by doing that, hopefully then we can build outward with sponsors. We don't have any sponsors. It'd be great if one of the casinos or one of the sports like a academy or something wanted to get on board with us and help sponsor us, and we could use that money toward, because all our money, other than paying the secretary $100 a month, all our money goes into building reefs. That's all it's there for.
Yeah. You mentioned, we're on the topic of money, but we talked a little bit before we went live. You said that y'all used to get support from the state, right?
So,
but that's changed.
When the organization was built in 1969, it consisted of Chamber of Commerce from local areas, the county supervisors from Jackson County and Harrison County and Hancock County. They were all on board with us, and there was lots of fishermen, charter boat captains, some of the old guys that that you hear and read about that were big back in the day. They were all part of this. I'm trying to think of the businessman that had the big hotel and restaurant there in Biloxi. He was a driving factor. Anyways, right up until Hurricane Katrina, we were down to Harrison County and Jackson County granting us $25,000 a piece each year. They'd write us a check at the beginning of the year, $25,000, I guess maybe at the beginning of their fiscal year.
Right.
They'd write us a check for $25K each county. And right after Hurricane Katrina, they cut us off, and we haven't received a penny from outside sources since. The only money I've managed to bring in was a Tidelands grant that we got from the state, and that's been paying our divers. So part of our process of building reefs and holding these permits is to take divers out to the reefs monthly, and they inspect the reefs. They take observations. So we worked out a deal hand in hand with the DMR. Their scientists told us what they need, what equipment we needed to buy to go out there and test the water, the salinity, the whatever. There's a dozen different things that they're testing, and they're taking video cameras down there, and they're observing all the fish, and they're writing down their observations. And we're turning that over to the state each month, and then the scientists will sit there and watch those videos, and they'll count fish, all the different fish they're seeing, and they're using this to determine what reefs are effective, right? And we do the dives. We've got 3 different types of reef out there. We have what's called materials of opportunity, which is the old culverts and rubble and
bridge stuff.
Right. Yeah. Then we have materials of design, which are the actually constructed pyramids and domes, right? And then we have steel hull vessels,
boats,
shrimp boats, right? So those are the 3 different things that they'll go down and look at, and then we do a control drop, and that's over mud. Just plain old sand bottom. And of course, they don't see anything. So, but they use that in their scientific studies.
Okay. Those pyramids, there's a ton of them in Back Bay, all going to Mobile.
Different state.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me.
We were a little
I think
upset
Chief
about
and
that.
them's pouring them.
I don't know. I just know right there. Was it on the point or like on back?
It's on Back Bay.
Yeah.
Right there on Back Bay.
Yeah, we went by and we're
pyramids
like,
all over there.
Look at all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all being shipped to Alabama.
So some of that stuff recently just went out in FH14 in an effort to
that was Marty Wilson.
That was Marty Wilson.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yep, that was
Marty, Kyle, and I forget the girl's name at Captain Al's.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Anyways,
I'm gonna add.
Train of thought.
That's okay. I just popped up on the screen. You'll see it here on a bit of a delay.
14.
So we've been trying for several years at the request of some of the charter boat captains to develop FH14 for sheephead for wintertime fishing.
Right.
There's only 6 spots in there, and they like to fish it, but it's just not enough for everybody. So this was finally an opportunity. And I kind of spearheaded that effort with Marty and Kyle and the DMR. We all worked together to get that done. But I can tell you right now that you're talking about pyramids. The DMR is contracted with Reef Maker, I believe it is, over in Orange Beach, and they're fixed to make several hundred pyramids and deploy them in our fish havens here in front of in front of Horn Island.
Well, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Yeah.
It is a good thing.
Yeah.
Was it 13 that's over there, or 10 FH10?
13, 1, and 2.
Yeah,
those are the ones that they'll be going into. Right now, there's a deployment taking place. It's been going on here for several weeks. And again, from Reef Maker over in Orange Beach, they're building what I call a stack of donuts. It's a post that goes down, and it's got these platforms layered up. And it's designed not to sink out of sight in the bottom.
Right.
And there's different levels, and they're going in the Fish Havens and the Sound, 8, 9, and 11.
Really?
Yeah, they start in Cat Island. They started to the east over towards Pascagoula, and they're filling up 760, I believe. That's a bunch of platforms.
Yeah.
760.
I watched the video today of y'all sinking that boat a while in 2015, and I think they had something similar to that on the back of that boat. It looked like circles of concrete.
2015.
Yeah, it's on your website. I was actually going to share that. Let me pull that up right now. I had it up just a minute ago, but so right here, I will.
It's going to come up here.
Yeah,
okay.
1 second.
Behind us.
Right.
It disappeared. Hold on. Just to go back to what you were saying about the different types of reef. All right, so I got it up. It'll take a second here. So
that sounds like the Johnny Gill reef. It was a sailboat.
So here, that's just an example. No. This isn't the boat I was talking about. No. This is. I'm just you. Earlier you were describing the types of artificial reefs that you all deploy. So this being obviously an old boat, still boat.
Right.
Then we got the more like the pyramids that you talked about here that are built similar to what Joey and I saw when we were on Back Bay.
Yeah, those are bigger, but
they're sitting on those right there.
Those are the pyramids.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. Like you can see where the fish can swim in and out of it. Right. You can obviously tell that that's here's a better shot of him here, not in the water. So you can see there, people on the live can. Sorry, audio people, you can go look them up on what's this? What are we at here? It's mgfb.org and look at the pictures that we're talking about. But there's just it's a concrete, almost like a pyramid. It's kind of cylindrical in shape with a bunch of holes in it so the fish can swim in and out of it if you've never seen it.
It looks like an upside down coffee cup.
Here's the boat right here. I'm going to butcher that name, so I'm not even going to try. Barataria Bay.
That's the Barataria Bay.
There you go, Barataria Bay.
So that's a pogey boat that went down several years ago.
15. I watched the video today.
Was it 2015?
That's what it said on the video. Yeah. No. Was it?
I think it went down before that. I think. Don't quote me. I'm pretty sure it went down before.
But that might have been when they dove it. I don't know. That was the sinking
of
of it when you watched.
It was the sinking and the diving on it.
Okay.
It was both. Well, so but I don't know.
Maybe it was 2015.
Let's see. It's probably look here. It is right here. June 10th, 2015. Barataria Bay deployed off of Mississippi.
Oh, that was it.
Time flies.
June the 10th,
That was it.
2015.
We fit today.
Watch, it'll come up.
I have dove that. It's a beautiful dive.
Barataria Bay. I don't know where they got the name.
So 88 foot of water, it says. Anyway, guys, on the live, y'all can see here. It's pretty cool to watch this thing go down, man. It's that's what you go out there and fish,
We got 2 more just like it sitting over there,
ready to go.
Well, they're cleaning them. They'll be ready in the next few weeks.
Yeah. I'm sure the process there is significant to get those ready for.
Down she goes.
You got to have to clean all the fluid out of it.
All the fluids have to be cleaned out of it. Everything that's organic has to come out.
Right.
No wood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there can't be any wood inside there.
So what is the wood? With that? Why that? I wouldn't imagine wood.
Figure just rot.
Yeah.
It'll rot and float away.
Yeah.
And when it floats away, now it's a marine hazard.
Right.
Oh, if it's big enough, I guess.
34.
Yeah.
So they don't want any wood in there. No fluids,
There's
nothing
her pads.
petroleum.
Hopping off.
Yeah.
All the wire has to be stripped out of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But,
I guess it's the same way with your rubble too. Like most of the metal, the rebar, and all that stuff has to be removed.
No plastic. It all has to come out.
Yeah.
there's some
So most recently, Gulf fishing banks themselves have deployed 2 boats here in the last couple of years. One of them was about a 38, 40-foot sailboat, steel hull sailboat that was donated to us. And all our members took turns going out there volunteering their time, and we got it all cleaned off. Engines pulled out, transmission pulled out, did all that stuff. And then we paid to have one of our members deploy it. It was pretty cool deployment.
Yeah.
It's an FH2 because it didn't have permits for 13. Then real recently, we took possession of a boat that's pretty famous here on the coast. It was from the Gulf Coast Research Laboratory, and it was the research vessel Hermes. There you go. Research vessel Hermes. And when you go to the DMR, half the scientists there spent time on that boat because they went to college, USM.
right.
So it was a lot of publicity. A lot of people came out to see the deployment. Well, Gulf Fishing Banks, again, we took responsibility for it. We pulled the engine. We didn't pull the engine. We flushed the engine. We pulled the transmission. Everything got flushed out, it's made a pretty cool reef. It too is an FH2.
Yeah.
Okay. We got some comments coming through. Someone asked to post when the next meeting was, so I just typed it up. Thursday, June the 8th. We talked about that. What time? I didn't.
7 o'clock.
Okay, so that's at 7 p.m.
Second floor of the Biloxi Yacht Club.
Yeah, yep, there you go.
Yeah, they got a little bar there. Got some little
Mhm.
music going on before that.
Mhm.
So go hang out and sign up. It's $10.
$10.
Yeah.
$10.
All right, so
you can't beat that.
I got that in the comments. And then it came through a second ago. Our buddy Josh from Casting Coastal said what did he say? He said, I'd love to sponsor them on my channel, help them grab funding. He said they're vital to what he does with his channel. He goes around
Right.
Casting Coastal, it's a fishing YouTube channel.
Right.
He's making some really good content. But that's a great way between our platform and guys like him and Josh Harmon, who have that, to get y'all's message out, to get people to show up to these meetings and become a part of it. Because when you post something online about it, people love to jump in the comments and kind of, voice their opinion or complain or whine or, everything in between.
It's like people who don't vote. If you
Right.
don't vote, you don't have a say.
So this is the easiest, quickest way to become.
I can share a story that hits that right on the head.
Okay.
Back when I was still on YouTube, when I was still on Facebook, and it was on our Gulf Fishing Banks chat page, and one of the guys was complaining about Gulf Fishing Banks not doing enough. And I said, I've been a president for quite some time. I said, I don't know you, and I've never seen you. You never come to a meeting. He came to the next meeting. He's been to damn near every single meeting. He's one of our strongest supporters. I love it.
Well, that's
we
how
become good
Sometimes
friends.
you got to call people out.
And he knew it, and
Yeah.
he realized it. He comes to all the meetings, and he's a great person.
Yeah.
We're really glad to have him on board.
There's a ton of people in this community, and I say, South Mississippi fishing community, that would probably, just like that guy that either don't know about y'all, doesn't know that that's the easiest point of contact or easiest group to make a change, voice their opinion and make a change. So
Right.
hopefully somebody listening to this right now, like go sign
I
up.
would think every charter boat on the coast, every charter captain on the coast would be there.
We used to have several, and we do have positions on the board of directors for charter boat captains, because they have skin in the game.
Yeah,
Right.
We want them there.
Right. Yeah, that's good. I hate that we're not going to be in town this week, because this would be a great, just roll right into it Thursday
right.
and come talk to y'all. Do y'all ever live stream your stuff? Is that allowed? Is it not?
We could, but
Okay.
we never
I was going to
have.
do it. Heath, y'all use the local divers, right?
Yes.
When y'all do
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Heath is the one that put me onto it, and we were going to go.
Yeah.
And then somebody got in a wreck in Pascagoula and fell off the bridge, and he
No.
works with the police department.
Right.
And had to go dive for them to see if
Yeah.
the guy.
Well,
was
I know
still, girl was
certain
still alive.
organizations, when they have their meetings, they don't necessarily want everything they discuss to be public record on the internet. So I can respect that as well. But it may be a way to get people to at least, get a taste of what y'all
Right.
talk about and what you do.
So we do take minutes of each meeting,
Yeah.
and everything that we do is online. We post all our minutes, all our financial statements. They're all posted online on our website.
Okay.
We try to be, and the word transparent is used so often, and it really offends me, because people aren't transparent.
Right.
Government's
right,
not transparent.
Right.
Yes.
Gulf Fishing Banks is extremely transparent.
I like it.
So everything's open to the public.
Everything's open to the public.
You have the, I mentioned the website. I'll say it again here. Let me go back.
And it is .org, because it is a nonprofit.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's MGFB, Mississippi Gulf Fishing Banks.org. So just type in MGFB.org.
Yeah. They got a Facebook page too.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't. That was what I was talking about
It's
before we
in
went
there.
live. Okay. Let me type it in again just while we're doing this. All I saw was the group, the Facebook group.
Oh, it might be the group.
Yeah, I
y'all
think
have
it's just a group.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay.
so did you have anybody that's a part of the organization that helps y'all with the digital side of it? Because
So-
there really needs to be a Facebook page.
So we used to, and he's not participating in the organization anymore. But someone who has stepped up is I can't remember Jerry's last name now.
Yeah.
I've known him for 20 years. He's the guy.
It happens sometimes on
He's
the
the guy
live.
that manages the dive shop in D'Iberville.
Oh,
What is Jerry's
Now
last
you're going to
name?
forget too.
he
Yeah.
was in the same neighborhood
I
with me
know.
forever.
It's
You
like
know,
it's like a
I know
fog.
Jerry,
It's like a
I know
sickness.
Carrie. I know her mom and dad.
All right,
Uh,
watch this. Give it 2 minutes. Keep talking, and y'all both go blah, 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 right out the
Anyways,
gate.
Jerry has stepped up, and he's on the board of directors now.
I know an
and
easy way to do
He
it.
takes over.
Yeah. He's got it as
He keeps up. He's keeping up our digital message.
Okay, well, we got to get Jerry to get y'all a Facebook page, or at least
Atkinson.
Thank
There
you.
it
Yeah,
is.
there we go.
Grew up in the same neighborhood right down the road from
You
him.
cheated though.
I know.
And me and Joey's been been talking about going and getting dive certified at his place for 2 years
Oh,
probably now.
you
and still
need
haven't done it.
to.
I know.
You need
But
to.
that brings up another point. Atkinson, look, it came
Yeah,
through on the thing.
yeah.
Thank you. I think that's Josh. It's you're blanked out, Josh.
You
if that-
Facebook loser
yeah,
again?
he's not Harmon though. This is Josh Lemoyne. So
Oh,
I think. But yeah, you're blocked out, so we can't see who it is. But that brings up a good point, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier, and you might have even been a little more in depth when I was typing over here. But you said that the DMR has the scientists, and y'all have more of the volunteers, right?
Correct.
Do y'all have anybody in your organization, like the divers that are going out and diving these wrecks as a part of your organization?
Yes.
To say, yes, there's fish here. Yes, this is, and
They-
updating the numbers that you said got you in the group to begin with?
So I got the title and grant from the DMR to contract with the dive team to go out there and do the work that's required.
Are these professional guys or volunteer guys?
We reimburse them. We don't expect them to go out there on their own dime. So we do pay them to go
Okay.
out there and do the diving. They are volunteers though. They're like you and me. They just like to dive.
Like Deepwater Mafia guys. I'm sure you're
Yes.
familiar with
They
those
are
guys.
they are deep.
Okay, all right.
As a local
yeah,
guy.
he's like,
Yeah.
they are those guys. Yeah, yeah,
I mean, the guys, they all have jobs.
right,
Right,
right.
So, but they like what they do. They like being a part of the program.
Mhm.
So they go out there, they do the videos, they do the observation reports, and they turn that all into the DMR, and their scientists take it from there.
Okay, and is that how y'all keep your numbers updated that y'all put out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool process. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching again, like off your website, the sinking of that ship. If the video continues, then they dive the wreck. Now, obviously, it was brand new, so there's nothing
Nothing
on
there,
it
right.
whatsoever. I would love to see some updated
Yeah.
videos of what that looks like. What are we talking? 8 years later?
What's that usually take for a reef
to
to
become-
set and then start producing fish?
Of course, I'm not a scientist, but I will say that the scientists have requested that we not publish deployment numbers for 12 months.
Okay, that's fair.
Now, when you come to our meetings, of course, we're going to talk about the deployment,
Mhm.
and we're going to have the numbers there, but they're not for wide distribution. But since you're there, you're going to get a copy of it.
Right,
That's why I joined the organization.
right. You wanted the early numbers.
I got
some
the
years
early
ago.
numbers.
Yeah. But I'm sure there's a balance, like we're
There-
saying,
yeah.
right? Like if you get them right out the gate, you can go fish it. You're not going to,
But you're not going to catch anything.
Yeah, because
Right.
like I say, that I mean, you got to have the small microorganisms
Yeah.
to start to the whole
Seaweed, the
process.
barnacles,
It's a
Yeah.
chain. It's
everything
a chain
comes up.
that starts from the bottom and works up. Right.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah. So to answer the question, like 12 months, we think is what it takes to establish a reef.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do y'all get into the quota debate? Do y'all have an opinion on that as far as snappers concerned?
So
Where the population is or isn't? I know again you said you're not scientists, you're
yeah,
not, that's
so
not your department, but
it comes up as a topic of discussion.
I'm sure.
But I mean, it's just opinions, right?
Right.
But I can tell you, having been going to all the Gulf Council meetings locally, that I think that up until what they just did here with this reallocation, that it's been fair. We have the smallest allotment on the Gulf Coast,
Yes.
right?
Out of
155
any state. Yes.
155,000 pounds was our allotment. But I can tell you, as an active fisherman, that I caught all the red snapper I wanted to catch each year. Might slow down in the middle of the summer, but towards the end of the summer, that second season, pick back up again. I can tell you that last year, for whatever reason, they kept the snapper season open until the end of the year because
Yes.
they never reached the allotment, and we left behind several thousand pounds of fish.
That doesn't transfer over, I would assume.
It does
either.
not
Yeah.
transfer
Yeah,
over.
correct.
There's no carryover.
I wonder what
But-
the deal was there. What do you think? Because me and Joey kept talking
Well,
about it last year.
there's a lot
They're going to
weather.
close it. They're going to close it. They're going to close it. And then they never did.
Because they never reached the allotment.
Right.
They're monitoring it through tails and scales to see how much fish is being caught, and they never reached the allotment. So
And I don't think that's people scamming, right? I mean, they're
I
pretty.
would like-
some of them are, but
Well,
that's
for
not
sure,
enough.
but I don't
Yeah.
I would
think-
like to think that that's not the majority. I'd like to think the way it is now that it's people are pretty serious about wanting to be able to fish, and the only way to do it is to be honest.
Right.
And quite frankly, I think we have a great season. Our season really is more liberal than the other states, even though Alabama is catching more fish and bigger fish, and they don't get to fish as often as we do. They don't get to fish 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that we've got a 4-day
The
season.
weekends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how theirs is Friday,
Yeah,
Saturday,
right.
Sunday.
Weekends.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awful.
Well, of course, and that turns into a derby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, ours
yeah,
used to be
yeah.
like that. It was only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
And it was,
yeah.
We've been catching some toads, though. There's been
What?
some big snapper.
That puts off a lot of meat too on
Yeah.
fish
Yeah.
like that.
I hate catching big fish though.
Because they're the breeders.
Well, more personally, I'd rather eat a 14 to 16 inch snapper than a 30-inch snapper, because now I got to cut that fillet up into a bunch of
Yeah.
different portions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather catch 3 15-inch fish than one 20-inch fish.
I kind of like the nuggets though. I'm a fat kid though. You know what I mean? I kind of like them like that. I don't know.
But anyways, I think we've been very lucky that we have the allotment that we do. What really hurts is the fact that they're fixing to take it away from us, right? So we went from 155,000 last year down to
about to get cut in half, close
2/3.
Yeah,
It's like 58,000, and it's so bad that Alabama and I think it was Florida felt sorry for us. Was it Alabama? Yeah, I think it was Alabama.
They're going to give us some of their snaps.
They were going to give us some of their allotment. That's going to be discussed this week.
Really?
They felt bad about it.
Holy moly!
Now I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that that's some type of scientific research because everything's retroactive.
Washington, D.C.
Bad holdover data.
Yes, right. That's
where
my point.
they take one particular day where they happen to make one particular creel sample down at the dock, and it's like, okay, this is what everybody's doing, all year long. And they showed that we were, and again, I'm paraphrasing numbers here, 300,000 pounds of snapper is what we were catching in Mississippi.
Do you know how did they get that again?
A day?
No,
A year.
A year. Yeah. Right.
What?
By doing a creel sample where they had some extra large fish being brought in that were caught offshore and one group of anglers, and it gets distorted when they start extrapolating it out. It gets all distorted.
Right.
And I'm not the right person to discuss that.
Correct.
They've got scientists over there that can do it. In fact, Trevor Moncrief came 2 months ago and discussed it with us.
We need to get some names from you.
Yeah.
That could come in here and
Trevor, if you want to know about snapper distribution and numbers, Trevor Moncrief at the DMR is the guy to go.
Yeah. All right, I got 2 people asked the same question, so I'm gonna read it off here. Any chance we'll ever get reefs for wade fishing in Mississippi?
Get what?
Reefs for wade fishing.
Inshore.
So good question. Now, this is a DMR question. There's roughly, I want to say, 62 reef sites from Pascagoula to Bay St. Louis that are all spitting distance off the coast, either up in Back Bay or you see them out there in front of White Avenue and up and down the beach when you're driving. Mm-hmm. You see boats anchored up just 100 yards off the beach.
Right. Yeah. White PVCs.
Every one of those reefs has been silted over. They've been trying for, I think, 6, maybe it's 7 years to get those reefs permits so they go back in there and rebuild them.
They were all oyster shells, pretty much. Most of them, I want to say, was crushed limestone. Yeah.
They can't get the permits renewed. For like 6-7 years, they've been trying.
So you're the guy that deals with that, right? We established that. Who do you directly contact? DMR and is a specific person? Like, how could we get involved to just kind of?
Okay, so
you know what I mean? Like, is there any way we can streamline this process? Probably not.
Our permits for our reef sites require permission from the DMR, the state of Mississippi, and permission from the federal government.
3 agencies, or the DMR is the state?
The DMR is the state.
Okay.
All right, so they both grant permits that have a 5-year lifespan. I can tell you right now that my permit from the DMR is due this week. It's already been 5 years, and I have to extend it because it took the other
oh man, that sounds so.
It took them 2 weeks to approve me for a 5-year permit. It took the federal government 5 years to approve me.
Right.
So I got to request an extension from the state so it will coincide with what the federal government did to me.
Yes.
So when I want to renew a reef permit to go out there and build new sites, I coordinate with the state of Mississippi and I coordinate with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in Mobile, and then Mobile is the one that goes to marine fisheries down in Tampa, and that's where it goes into the vast black hole.
Oh, that's just a jumble.
Yeah, it's horrible, and that's where the state of Mississippi is hung up too, with the same agency, with the Corps of Engineers and the marine fisheries. They're the ones that are dragging the feet. Now they can talk to that better than I can.
Right.
Yeah.
I just know
a lot of people want to blame the DMR, but they're in the same hole.
Oh my
you
God,
are.
no! It is far from that. The DMR is a great agency to work with. They really are. They care about fish. In fact, I've said that before. I know a lot of the people over there. I deal with a lot of them, from law enforcement down to the scientists and the people that are doing the hands-on dirty work. And they all love their jobs. They all love working for the DMR. They love doing what they're doing to, trying to make fisheries better. It's a great group of people over there for state workers. They love what they do.
Yeah.
And I wish the federal government would emulate
So
that.
we need to get somebody from Tampa.
Yeah. National Marine Fisheries Service, NMFS. They're
And
the ones.
is there a voice or anything that you can do to
So-
expedite that, or how's that work?
Well, when you call the congressman who's on the committee
Mhm.
with the U.S. Department of Commerce, who oversees all that, and they're rattling cages and getting no results, I mean, how can you go any higher than a U.S. congressman?
Right.
A senator.
Right. So that's what we need to look at.
Federal senator you're talking about doing this? Wow. And he's not getting any response?
Wicker and Hyde Smith.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're not getting any response.
Not very effective response.
Oh,
no.
wow. Then
Yeah.
we're not going to do anything on our part to get it changed.
We're gonna try,
But it doesn't hurt. It doesn't
Yeah.
hurt to write letters.
Well, if
It doesn't
enough
hurt.
people,
Yeah.
If
Get on there and
enough people reach out to the Marine Fisheries Service,
Let me text DeSantis. I got it. I got this.
Mhm. Well, that's Florida.
Well, that's where it's at. Tampa.
Yeah, that's state though.
yeah,
Whatever.
Yeah. He knows somebody who
He knows somebody.
somebody.
He's got to have somebody
Yeah,
in
He'll
there.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, damn. So that's not good. Because that's a big, huge damper on the whole thing. You know, it's not as simple as just
it's really not.
going out there and putting it.
It's the federal government, and and the government wonders, why do we hate them so much?
Correct.
I was a federal employee for 35 years. I've got firsthand experience.
So you're not even surprised.
I know
Not
exactly
at all.
why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
That's tough.
Yeah, that is tough. A lot of people in the comments though are saying the same thing. Here's another one. It says when winter state charter guys going to get bigger reefs. I guess is what you're saying. Is it so we can fish?
Oh, that's FH1, FH2.
Yeah.
They're not going to get anything past the 9 mile limit.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean,
Right,
They're
right.
always going to be stuck.
What do you
within the
think
9
about
miles.
that rule and the way that permitting goes? Right, we've talked about that before as well.
I think that it's fair. There's a reason they're not federally permitted. They're staying in state waters because it's hard and expensive to get federally permitted. It's very expensive.
And
There's
most
a
of them are in Alabama.
Well, yeah. I
The
mean, we do
federal permits,
we
yeah.
do have some federally permitted charter boat captains
Right.
here, and they make a good living at it. They're good fishermen, but they're required to have all kinds of information on their boat, transponders, and
Right.
EPIRBs, all that other
hail
stuff,
in,
yeah.
hail out, and there's a lot of restrictions on those federally permitted charter boats that the state guys don't.
Right, but even the requirements that you just mentioned add a financial constraint to it. But the fact that there's only so many permits, right? Isn't that the case? You can't just go get a new one, right?
You have to buy it from somebody.
That's my
Well,
point.
I
So then
think-
that inflates the price and it makes it.
For federally permitted charter fishermen, I don't think that's the case. I think what you're referring to is for going out there and trying to catch commercial fish.
You could be
yes.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah. You're right.
commercially permitted is a whole different ballgame.
That's
right.
where they got the confusion.
That the Gulf Council has put us in these different stovepipes, right? I think it was, I forget what, one of the things that the Gulf Council did several years ago was they separated recreational fishermen from charter fishermen, right? I forget what amendment that was. Might have been 30, 32. Anyways, they separated the two, right? We used to all be together,
Right.
and whatever rules came out, they affected the charter boat per federally permanent guys and you and me.
Right.
They separated us out. So far, the federally permanent charter captains seem to be happy with the arrangement, but their SNAP proceedings didn't open up till June 1st.
Same as the
Right.
rec guys.
No,
No, the rec guy's fishing now.
rec guys went out on Friday before Memorial Day.
Yeah.
in the state of Mississippi. So we got about a five
5
day
day jump.
5
Okay.
day jump on 'em,
Okay.
right?
I got you.
and so we're going to close on July 4th. Federally permitted won't. They get, don't quote me, 67-day fishing season. So June 1st, 67 days. Now, a couple of years ago, they came in under fish, and I forget what the reason was, but they left fish on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so a month or so later, the Gulf Council opened the federally permitted charter captains season so they could finish fishing.
Right.
Well, the problem for a lot of the captains was they're already targeting other species now, and they can't get a hold of their anglers and say, hey, you can come fish for red snapper now.
Right.
I don't know what it was like in Destin and Orange Beach, but I know here in Mississippi was, they appreciated the opportunity, but they didn't have any anglers to go out and chase them.
That's usually getting a little colder.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go snapper fishing
Yeah.
in
Right.
November, December,
Right.
January,
Right.
which you got to go bundle up and ride 50 miles.
So to wrap up, we were just talking about you've got a regular recreational guy.
Okay.
Right. He's got a fishing license. He can go state. He can go federal.
Right.
Then you got a guy like y'all, like you, charter boat guy.
State for hire.
State for hire.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you could get a federal license that's not super expensive, right?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't
But
know how
there's multiple of them. There's not a limited quantity of them.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yes.
And you could go out in federal waters with your customers.
Correct.
I don't know the ins and outs of it. I know there's a lot of charter, because they call it reef fish. They call it. It's the way it's labeled.
Okay.
Because like when you go fish for snapper, you can't catch a cobia, you can't catch a king, you can't catch any of that because they're not considered reef fish.
Now that part I can't speak to.
Right,
I wasn't.
right.
That doesn't sound familiar to me. But I mean, I don't know.
Even in
Yeah.
state waters, you're talking about.
Even in state waters, yeah.
So
because
every trip that you take as a charter boat captain has to be
just snapper, pretty much.
I didn't know that.
It's weird.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Because that's what we've been doing. It's like you see a cobia, you can't catch it because it's not a reef fish. Or you see a Spanish mackerel or a king or something like that. It's not a reef fish.
That I'm not familiar with. I'm not.
Somebody can
I've
clear
not
that
heard
up way smarter than me. But
Yeah.
all the trips that we go on, that's what it is.
Okay.
I was not aware of that.
But then I'll read this in 1 second. But then you have the commercial side, which that does make sense to me. A commercial fisherman, which we've seen guys like Googans do. You know, people all lose their mind on his YouTube channel because he's keeping all these redfish, and they don't. You know, every comment's like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I'm a commercial fisherman. I sell these." Completely different thing. Completely different ball game.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the one that's a lot harder to get.
Yes.
For the federal waters.
For a commercial reef fish period,
Right.
but specifically red snapper.
Mhm.
Yeah. They're
It's
very
big money. You're talking 50, 60 grand.
Yeah, they're very expensive and very hard to get to. And they're so again, Gulf Council in its infinite wisdom is taking a look at that whole process and asking questions. Is it fair? Is it fair what we did?
No.
You know, and 20 years later, is it still fair? I can't speak for them either.
Yeah.
But at the last council meeting, that question came up amongst several council members, and they're revisiting the subject. They're looking at it.
Okay, here we go. We got some people that know what they're talking about in the comments. Here we go.
Go ahead. It's
All
smarter than
right,
me.
so Johnny, we appreciate your comment. I'm going to go through all these guys. It says there's a moratorium on new federally permitted charter for hire permits.
Okay.
All right, and that's what we've heard before. I think we're just messing our terminology up a little bit.
Yeah.
Josh Lemoyne again says, what's the reasoning for not having reefs?
Shoot.
I can feel that one coming on. All right, here we go. He said, what's the reasoning for not having reefs close to the islands in that 20 to 30 foot depth? He said south side of Horn or Ship per se, it would crush for specks and inshore studs. He figured it was just due to the islands being a national park.
There are reefs.
Yeah, on the inside, not on the outside, but on the inside.
9/11, 5,
right,
4.
Those are on the inside.
Yeah.
The problem is
He just says close to the islands.
Oh,
trying to get a new permitted reef site.
Yeah, which we've talked about.
We were just talking about earlier. It's not just down there by FH13. Any new permitted reef site is going to be
dragon feet.
A dragon feed. It's going to be an 8-year process.
All right.
And there's going to be hoops that you have to jump through and environmental impact statements, you name it. Everybody's in the federal government is concerned about tarpon, not tarpon.
Cobia.
Now, what's the one that goes up the rivers and come back? The ancient prehistoric fish.
Oh, sturgeon.
Sturgeon.
Yeah.
Everybody worried about the sturgeon. They're worried about sawfish. They're worried about
He's prehistoric.
turtles.
He's been here for a while.
Right.
Come
Oh
on,
my
guys.
USM
God.
caught one the other day. Big one.
They're
on Ship Island.
unbelievable worried about turtles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we were talking about that on the boat yesterday. I said you just soon kill somebody and have a dead body on your boat.
Yeah.
Than have
Yeah,
a damn
turd.
dead. turtle.
Don't have a dead turtle.
Don't do that.
Don't even mess with one.
Don't even look at one.
You don't even look at it.
Let's keep on driving.
Yeah.
I think he's dead, but we're not going to
I'm not. I don't even want to be
Yeah.
nowhere around him.
No.
So Johnny's got another comment here. So let me read this one out. He says, federal charter for hire vessels are also limited to using that vessel for their charter operation and cannot operate a personal fishing trip on that vessel. So that's another barrier that you would have to fight. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Damn.
It's always red tape, man. The government's
Yeah.
going to get you one
Yeah.
way or the other.
I don't understand that rule.
No.
If you're not declared, you ought to be able to declare one way or the other with the boat, right?
Well,
I
it
mean,
don't matter as long as you got that sticker on the side of it.
You would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Weird.
know. Clarence, he's in the comments. What's up, Clarence, man?
Mr. Clarence got with us.
Join the
Seymour.
fishing
That's
bank.
SIBO?
10
Yeah,
SIBO.
SIBO.
Hey, Sibo.
Yeah.
So SIBO came on when they did the cobia.
Yeah.
When they did the Gulf Council changed the cobia.
Which
And
was
I
a
think-
very listened to and watched episode.
Sibo and his son are excellent charter fishermen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent fishermen.
Yes.
And I think they did it right. I think it's 2 per boat now. Federal waters. I think people want 1 per boat.
The
federal
state hasn't
water.
caught up. The state hasn't changed.
State still got
Mississippi hasn't changed theirs, but yeah,
Right.
1 per person, 2 per boat.
Right.
Well, to tie everything together, this is what I've heard today, because this is something that's came up on the show a ton of times, and we've never really had good clarification. I appreciate you doing that today. The areas that are already marked as fish havens, you got to have a permit to add anything new to that. And we all know that things sink in the mud and they disappear. That process involves the state and the federal government, and up to 2 to 5 years, you're saying a 5-year window of once it's permitted.
Yes.
And then the reappointment or re-permitting process can take up to 12, 14, 18 months.
Well, it's been taking me up to 5 years on a couple of them. I'm
Jesus.
fixing to start renewing permits that aren't going to be due for another 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so there's that on the already allocated areas. And then for the new areas, that's a whole separate fight.
Whole
Separate fight that has its own hurdles to jump over.
Numerous.
Have y'all been successful with even one of those yet, or is that process not even had a chance to come to the
Department of Marine Resources started the process on expanding the fish havens between 13 and 2. They started that process 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And after 4 or 5 years, they pulled the permit application, said, the heck with it, we're starting over. Literally. They pulled the permit application. They just did this within 6, 8 months ago. And now they have reapplied for a new permitted area.
Okay.
That's the one I was talking about, west of 13
crazy.
and south of 13.
Do you
That's
know?
so crazy.
Yeah, it
now,
is.
I can understand you being just a regular, but a state entity can't even get a permit.
Right.
No.
What about, so you mentioned at the beginning of this too, about Alabama's doing such a better job. They got a little bit more money, you said, from the state itself, right?
It appears that the state's more heavily invested.
Do
Yes.
you know the process for them? Is their
Yeah,
process
what's the
more
stroke? More
streamlined?
money?
Is the federal government paying attention to them more and approving them quicker?
So
How are they doing it?
Yeah.
And we're not.
Don't know.
I'm outside of not having the shrimper alliance.
I get that
on the new stuff.
Yeah, I get that question as far as renewing permits.
I guess
Right,
yeah,
right,
as far as
I get that
renewing.
question all the time. So there's different. The Corps of Engineers is broken up into different areas, right? And we're under the Mobile Bay or the Mobile district. There's a Louisiana New Orleans district and the
Mhm.
Jacksonville district.
Mhm.
I don't know where Mobile falls. They, for all I know, they might be under the Jacksonville district, but they are getting their permits renewed, what seems like a little easier than we are.
Mhm.
Now, I will say one thing that I've heard, and again, the state can speak to this better than I can because they do this for a living. But like there's a bunch of stuff that's been going down in the Panhandle of Florida. I know, and from what I understand, they're requesting a permit to sink a specific reef. So it's a little less cumbersome to get just a specific, we want a shrimp, we want to, bury the shrimp boat, sink the shrimp boat. So it's a little easier apparently to go to Marine Fisheries and say, we just want to do this one boat, as opposed to a great big, several 100-acre spot out there. And we're just going to get a blank check in here. You can, pretty much deploy whatever we allow you to. I think it's a little easier for that specific reef than it is for a area of reefs.
Okay.
So maybe we need to redo the wordage on ours.
Well, and that
maybe
goes back. You said you got 2 pokey boats
Yeah.
sitting there waiting. Could you?
The problem is I don't want to have to do every time I want to take a deployment of culverts out there to have to go through this process.
Yes.
It's a whole lot easier to have a blanket permit that allows you to go out there and do what we've been doing since 1969.
Right.
Right. And no turtles were killed.
So Johnny, thanks again. He's been lighting the comments up with some good information here. And you I think mentioned this like pretty much right out of the gate. The notice for permit for new reef areas totaling nearly 16,532, I'm assuming acres was published and closes today.
Oh, shoot. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Close today, so get on there. Let's go.
Anyone can file a comment in favor of the newly proposed areas, and he drops the link below.
Johnny was big in the CCA.
Is that Johnny Marquez?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Hey, Johnny.
Yeah. I don't know if he's still in the CCA. I think he is, but he was big in the
Peripherally.
CCA.
Yeah.
He comes to all the CMR meetings.
Okay,
Right.
so Johnny, can you elaborate a little bit more on what he's talking about? Is that what you mentioned
That's
at the
what I
beginning of the show?
mentioned earlier, yes.
Okay. So the link's there, guys, on the live, Facebook, YouTube. Just click on it, and I could probably add it to the podcast if you're listening
Yeah.
to this on the.
But we got to do
replay,
it right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's
Hurry up
today.
quick.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to get it then.
Hurry up
Sorry,
quick.
it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late. That's not going to happen. But yeah, so what, people can make a comment like for or against. Is that what that's saying?
That's what it's saying. Yes.
Okay.
how much that really gets? notice.
You know, if you ask them, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we listened to it.
Right.
We'll read it. And we'll take it into we'll take it under advisement." Personally, I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes to those types of things.
I bet you're in the trenches with that.
I think that they've already made up their mind. They're just trying to appease you by saying,
Right.
They just
"Hey,
want
what do you
to do the
think?
right
Right.
thing.
What do you
Yeah.
think?"
Right.
Well, you had a voice. Nobody said anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Johnny also says he is now the director of coastal policy for the Mississippi Wildlife Federation.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
well, Johnny, come on.
Yeah, no
we
joke.
need you on
Johnny,
the show
come,
too, Johnny.
come jump on the show, man.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's got a lot of good information to share.
Yeah, that's good. We want to get the good information out there. We're just two idiots out here rambling, and we're we fish, so we have the questions that everybody else has, but we want the real answers.
Sure.
So
the best thing is to get a voice, a bigger voice.
Big voice helps.
And that starts by going to the fishing banks and getting a $10 membership.
Yeah, I mean, everything else that you've mentioned today sounds extremely complicated and frustrating, except for that, right? So if people would just show up, I would like to suggest if there's a way that y'all could do so, would y'all be open to electronic registration with the group, to where, a link to where I could go to your website, pay, and be a member?
We've been talking about that. Jerry's trying to set that up for us.
Okay,
yes.
it shouldn't be too difficult IT wise. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Jerry thinks we can do it without too much issue.
Yeah,
we just haven't
done that.
Take the next step.
If you can make it easy for people, right, they're going to do it. Everybody, I mean, we've been wanting to come to one of your meetings for at least 2 to 3 months now, and stuff happens. You forget. You got a baseball game. The kids got that. Kids got this.
Right.
If I go in there right now today and sign up, I'd do it.
Right.
But we definitely want to make it to some meetings. And guys, if y'all are watching this live or on the audio, go check it out. It's the second Thursday of every month at the Biloxi Yacht Club, 7 p.m. Second floor, usually,
Second floor.
right there on Highway 90. Nice building.
Yep.
Y'all, it's pretty relaxed environment. Everybody's hanging out.
It's
Just
cool. It's fishermen,
like-minded guys.
So we're all wearing shorts and flip flops, and
Right.
drinking a beer.
Yeah,
it's fishermen.
Sounds like a party.
It sounds like a damn good
Do
party.
you think there's ever going to be a chance to where, like, these CCA groups and Mississippi Fishing Banks, all of them come together and create this perfect storm and have one big voice and call it?
So I am on the board of directors of CCA right now, and I'm trying to bring us together. Yeah, like you're talking about, to have a united voice. And CCA wants to build reefs as well.
Right.
So, I think that getting together helps. CCA membership in Mississippi, they got a strong membership in the north part of the state, Pine Belt, strong memberships. Our Biloxi chapter and Ocean Springs area chapters have kind of dwindled.
Well, I was part of that, and a lot of it was, and I don't, this is just from what I've seen, pay memberships don't do anything. Don't get a whole lot out of it. And I know the Bay St. Louis chapter is huge.
They're huge.
Gigantic.
They are.
So the ones that we did, we had a pretty good following. It was all the local guys around here. And it just seemed like it was always, money, 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 what happens? Money, 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 what happens? Kind of like, we do the same thing with Ducks Unlimited. They always want more money, but what are we doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I guess, and some people, CCA is kind of like a love-hate group. If you've been in a community, and I'm just speaking from what I know of fishermen, they either really love them or they really hate them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Gulf fishing banks, I've never heard anything bad about them. So maybe we can mend some of that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we're not that bad kind of things.
Yeah. Some fishermen, particularly charter fishermen, I guess, have some issues with CCA because they feel like they're trying to restrict their ability to make a living.
Correct.
So, I get that. I understand.
Right.
But there's some middle ground there that we can meet on and be beneficial to each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's all we need. We don't need everybody fighting. We need one.
Yeah. Yeah. With clear, focused, reasonably obtainable goals in mind, right? That's not just, spouting off.
Right.
Whatever.
Yelling at people.
Right. Exactly. So again, Josh is volunteering Casting Coastal, his YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. That he'd love to put y'all out on his platforms. So Josh, do it, man.
Well, tell Josh,
beat the drum, Josh.
Tell Josh to come to go to the meeting Thursday if you can. And then we'll try to make it to a meeting. We'll do a live.
Well, what about this? What if we set something up with you and you just said, like, you're juiced in, you're on the board with CCA. Is there any way we could put some type of event on in the next couple of months? That's just almost like a meet and greet, like to get everybody to come hang out, shrimp boil or some type of cook off or whatever, beer, couple, just to get people to come out and hang out and get affiliated with the group.
Right. No, absolutely.
Get all these YouTubers, a couple ones that we know and our platform to kind of push the meeting and see
member
if we
drive.
can get a member drive up. Y'all be down for something like that?
Absolutely would.
Okay.
Sweet.
Well, we need to get together on some details on that and then put it out. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we covered it, man. You know, it's
It was great. Good
enlightening. You know, it answered a lot of the questions that we've had. We appreciate you coming in here and doing it. I hope we can see some numbers. You know,
Yeah,
get some people out to y'all's
for sure.
stuff.
I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it.
Thanks for you doing what you're doing.
Anytime you want to come jump back on, let us have any updates y'all got going on. Let us know.
I appreciate that. I
Yeah,
will.
for sure. So, and thanks everybody that listened on the live and put the comments out there. We appreciate that. Everybody on the replay and the audio side. Download the app, man. Brownwater Banter app. It's on the App Store and Google Play. We got the Tails and Scales right on the inside of that app.
Yep.
Linked all there. Weather, everything's right inside the app, all in one. And there's a radio station, so you can listen to some tunes while you're fishing.
You catch a snapper.
All right, I know I've been saying it, but I'm going to get our episodes that we've got booked. I'm going to get them all created and on the Facebook page so y'all can see. We got a lot of good stuff lined up. Who's some of the ones you can think of off the top of your head? We got
Wednesday we got the Pascagoula Men's Club coming back on, talking about their fishing tournament.
Okay.
And then we got a brewery, No Springs, coming on, and then we got some other ones. So
yep, we got some more local politicians coming on.
We got Heath and them coming on for their spearfishing tournament.
Cool.
Yeah,
we pretty booked though, like all the way.
Yeah, but we
near
still got
August.
some time. We're not that big. We're not Joe Rogan yet.
Trying. All right, thanks again, everybody. Thanks again for stopping
thank
in
y'all.
this evening.
Thank you.